Okay, so this is why the handstand push-up is the number one exercise to build huge, round, atlas-like shoulders, right? So this is what I believe. I'm not saying I'm not like an expert at this like in any means, but I recently read a chapter on the handstand push-up from the book Convict Conditioning 1 by Paul Wade, the author, and I thought it was very enlightening. I thought it was very well written, right? So, and I also fact checked it with ChatGPT based on real anatomy, physiology, and kinesiology, and I asked it to like kind of avoid all mainstream bias and advice, all stuff like that. And basically everything in that chapter came out to be true. So I'm gonna try to explain what I learned from that chapter so that you also can start to understand why the handstand push-up is probably the best shoulder exercise out there to actually build, yeah, huge round atlas-like shoulders. So for the record, I only do handstand push-ups currently for my shoulders, and of course push-ups as well will work the shoulder, of course. But handstand push-ups are like the main movement to target my shoulders, right? I don't do any forms of shoulder presses, machines, or like stuff like that. I don't even do bench press. So first off, why do I believe the handstand push-up is like the best shoulder press exercise? Well, the first up is that our elbows are kept forward during the movement. So from my understanding, why this is good. Okay, this is good. Why is it good? Because it puts our rotator cuff muscles. So think of our shoulder anatomy, right? We've got our big deltoid muscles, but we've also got these smaller muscles, and some of these small muscles, that's the rotator cuff. That's a group of four muscles which helps stabilize the the upper arm bone inside of our shoulder socket, right? And since our shoulder is the most mobile joint in our body, so let's just say, okay, so shoulder equals most mobile joint in the body, but okay, but that also means it's the most vulnerable, right? So these rotator cuff muscles have to work extremely hard when the upper arm bone is twisted very much, like a lot in the socket, right? So, but when does this happen? Our upper arm bone gets twisted a lot in the socket when we flare out. Okay, right. When we flare out our elbows, or we go very deep in the movement. All right. So this is a big reason why doing shoulder presses, for example, with weights, is gonna fuck with your rotator cuff most likely. It's one of the most common injuries I got from the chapter, and so we wanna avoid our upper arm bone, right? Our upper arm bone, which is the humerus. We don't want that to be twisting a lot, right? Because our rotator cuff muscles, they are the ones that they control the rotation of our shoulder, right? While the bigger deltoid muscles, they control the up and forwards, down and backwards movements, right? But the rotator cuff controls the rotation both forwards and backwards. Okay, wait. So hopefully this makes sense so far. Okay, let's put this down here. Rotator cuff muscles. This is a group of muscles. Con control rotation and stabilize the humerus. So humerus, upper arm bone, inside the shoulder socket. So as that deltoid muscles control the bigger movements of the shoulder. So in many of the gym movements, right? So the deltoid muscles, the bigger muscles, they can handle it, right? Like they can lift a heavy weight, like they're good. They're big, they can handle it. But the smaller muscles, the stabilizing muscles, the muscles that aren't really evolved to lift heavy weights each week, right? These muscles take a hit. That's why they're one of the most common injuries because they get put in vulnerable positions and under a lot of stress, under a lot of weight, which eventually results in some kind of injury, right? Okay, so back to this. The handstand push-up is kind of superior to many of the movements because our elbows are naturally kept forward during the movement. They're not flared out to the side, which ends up twisting the humerus even more. And the humerus, the upper arm bone, is always twisting in the shoulder socket, even during fairly straight presses like bench press and stuff like that. But especially when your elbows are flared out a lot to the side. So by doing handstand push-ups, we avoid this completely. Mm, and to give you kind of some insight on this, to give you some insight on this, think about it like in everyday life, right? In day-to-day activities. If you're gonna lift something overhead, most likely you'll always keep your elbows forward, right? Closer in towards your torso, closer to your body. Because this is naturally, like this is instinctively the position your body wants to be in because it's safer for us than spreading out our elbows to the side. That's not safer for us, right? So our body knows instinctively what's safe for us. Hopefully this makes sense so far. So this is the first reason why handstand push-ups are superior to, for example, shoulder presses, right? You don't flare out your elbows, you keep them forward. And yeah, he also mentioned another one, which is going deep, but I don't fully understand that one yet. But I think it's just because, let's say you're on a shoulder press, you go to the side, but then you go also very deep. You're gonna twist your upper arm bone more in the socket, and you're gonna put your rotator cuff muscles in a worse position, right? So yeah, think of it. Yeah, so hopefully that made some sense as to why the handstand push-up is just an overall better exercise. Now I kind of want to show you what I'm doing to learn the movement. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible because I see so many YouTube tutorials out there which are including like a bunch of exercises, but I have this philosophy which is basically like learning the movement by doing the movement. So first off, I want to do freestanding handstands. You can also just do handstand push-ups against the wall, which in case you don't need to do this. But I like to start every workout with a warm-up with just doing some freestanding handstand practice. I've been doing this for months now, and I can see that I've been improving, even though I'm not including every possible like freestanding handstand drill people are kind of advising online. I'm just trying to do the movement, just trying to find the balancing point. Like you start to pick up on things after a while, after doing it for a long time. So that's what I've done. I've slowly like just started to understand the movement more, what I have to do, how hard I have to kick up, where the balance point is, right? All of these small things, how I should press and lift my fingers, stuff like that to balance. And then the next step is just learning the movement by doing the movement. So I know people recommend pike push-ups and decline push-ups, stuff like that. Like, and you can most definitely do that. I'm not against that at all. I personally like just like I've started with this recently, and I really like it, to be honest. It's just that I throw myself up into a handstand beside a wall, right? I'm using the wall because handstand push-ups against the wall, like you remove the balance aspect. To build muscle, you don't want that extra balance aspect because you don't want your balance to fail before your muscles does, right? So what I'm doing now is I'm doing 3 sets against the wall. I'm doing kind of half handstand push-ups against the wall. And my kind of philosophy about this is that over time my range of motion will gradually increase, so that I'm basically learning the movement by doing the movement. Like, I think it's the same with pull-ups. If you're just starting out with pull-ups, you could just hang on the bar, master the dead hang, and then just try to pull yourself more up. Maybe do scapula pulls, and then over time you'll be able to pull yourself higher and higher and higher the more you do it, and eventually you'll be like doing your first pull-up. So I think it's the same with the handstand push-up. I personally like to do 3 sets. It's kind of like strength, to be honest. Three sets of 5 is what I've done recently. But I'm gonna try increase how many reps I do and the range of motion of those reps on each set, each workout I do. So that's kind of the plan so far. Eventually I'll reach the floor, be able to rep out like that, and at that point I'm doing handstand push-ups. So at that point I've achieved my goal. But then also I want to do it in the freestanding handstand like position. But that's why I do freestanding handstand practice. That's warm up each workout I do. So that's basically it. Hopefully you got some value from the video. I know this got a little bit messy. I'll probably make like a new video sometime in the future where I've reread the chapter and I've understood it a lot more, and I'll make it a bit more structured. But yeah, these are the sources I used. I believe I said that at the start of this video. Convict Conditioning 1, the handstand push-up chapter. I believe that's, yeah, I don't know what chapter that is actually, to be honest, it's the number. But the next one, ChatGPT, I asked ChatGPT to fact check the chapter based on real anatomy, physiology, and kinesiology. So it's like real facts. It's not some, just because he's got a bias towards bodyweight training, it still holds up, right? And yeah, this is kind of what I learned. And I personally, like, another like subjective reason though, but I just think the handstand push-up is so much cooler, and it gives me so much more than doing a shoulder press of some kind. So yeah, I think it's so much more impressive to be able to kind of jump up into a handstand, hold it, and then start doing push-ups. Maybe if you've done it for years, maybe you even want to learn the one-arm handstand, like freestanding, or maybe the one-arm handstand push-up. Like that's even more. That's super wild. Nobody can do that, but I might actually try give that a go, because like I'm gonna be training for years anyway. I'm gonna be training for the rest of my life, so I might as well just do something wild. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Thanks guys.